Hey guys, Dr. Crocker here. I am excited for you guys that are going to join me for this one. Last Sunday, interviewed a zoo vet that I know, and this week we're going to be talking to Dr. Kate, who is a super cool vet mom that I met a while ago, and I love everything she's doing. And she is a pathologist. So I love cytology, but I have to be honest, I cannot imagine doing cytology every day. And so we'll have to see what she has to say about it, why she chose the career path, what it looks like for her. I'm really interested because I feel like this is one of those careers that I really don't know that much about. It's not as common. And so I'm excited to see what she says and what her experience was. We're going to get into all your questions. We had a lot of really great questions. There's actually a lot of people really interested in this topic and interested in this career route. And I am a huge believer that our careers are really cool because we can do a lot of things with our degrees as veterinarians. So I think that this is something that hopefully we'll get some good info, and I know we will because Kate's great. And we can, learn as much as possible from her. So I see that she's on now. I'm going to see if I can get her on here. For some reason, it's not letting me click on her. Kate, if you can see me and it asks you to join, let me try a different way. Hold on just a sec. There we go. This is her first time doing the Instagram live thing, and so we've been messaging. Hi!
Hi! Oh my gosh, my face is so big.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you, half your screen, so you gotta
I'm gonna get an arm workout holding I was just trying to get something set up to hold my phone up, and I knocked my beer over and my water, and
No.
yeah, I know, but I'm that's okay. I got a refill.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say we can take a minute break for you to make sure that you're
No.
ready and refreshed. So
As long as everybody is fine with a little bit of, I'll try not to do this too much.
No, you're good. So I was just saying that I'm really excited about this because one, I got a ton of people who said, oh my gosh, I am really excited because I don't know that much about this career path, and I am going to save it because I know a lot of people said they were working or there's other things going on and they might miss it. So it'll be saved on my Instagram TV. You have a huge following already. You are doing an amazing job.
It's my Cyto nerds. I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
love
you're
it.
connecting with people, and I feel like as a general practitioner, I mean, I love cytology and I talk about how important it is because I do it all day long, but obviously I don't do it at the level you're at. And I just said at the beginning, I was like, I love it, but I wouldn't want to do it all day. So I'm really,
That's why
glad I'm glad we have people like you who do, that's what you love, and you help us out as general practitioners all the time. So we will dive in if you're ready.
Well, I just want to say, I want to just say, I have mad respect for GPs. Honestly, I did a vaccine clinic last year, and I thought I was going to die. I didn't remember anything. I mean, I had my notebook. My husband's he's a GP. He does ER now. Well, he's done mostly ER, but he did a little bit of GP. But I was calling him. I was the only thing I do not want is a new puppy. Because it's just a vaccine clinic, but they might ask some questions.
A million questions, yes.
Yeah, and I'm I'm totally fine with being go to your general practitioner. But anyway, not to get into all the vaccine clinic stuff, but I was just that's the only thing I don't want. And then, of course, the first thing I got was a new puppy vaccine. And she's like, what do I do about food? I don't know. Do you want a rabies vaccine? Let's just do that and just move on. So, yeah, I mean, not that that's all GPs do, but I can't even, I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, you, from now on, you message me with those questions. And if your husband doesn't answer, I'm here for you.
Okay. All right.
I got
all right. You'll be my phone a friend.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm interested because, a lot of people are I wanted to be a veterinarian when they were 5. That was me, right? And that was my route. When did you say I want to be a veterinarian? But even more so, when did you say, but I really want to do this very specific specialty? When did that happen?
So I wasn't in the like 5-year-old crowd as far as wanting to be a vet. I think I remember I had a project when I was like really young for school. It was like, what do you want to be? And I remember saying prosecuting attorney. I had no clue what that meant. I guess
Oh,
I probably had just watched like Law and Order or something.
yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully not at 5. I wasn't watching Law and Order. But I didn't really develop an interest in becoming a vet until farther along. So I was in high school. Um, and then I got super into it and I was like, this is really cool. I don't even really remember exactly what it was that prompted that decision, but I started working at a veterinary clinic in high school and, I had like the kennel job and I
Yes.
scooped poop in the
Poop,
Tennessee
yeah.
summers. Yeah. Yeah. But the vet was really awesome because he let me shadow and he really was great about letting me, see things and not just like pushing me in the back. And so I got really a lot of really great exposure at like young to reinforce that's what I want to do, which is kind of funny because now that I don't do that any of that.
Right.
But it's all
Well, but okay, let's stop there for a second because
yeah,
let's just focus on the fact that you actually worked for somebody who didn't just say to you, "Don't be a veterinarian. It's the worst job. I hate
yeah,
my job." I mean, I think that that is something that is important to recognize
yeah,
going into it with that support and like that, eyes wide open,
for sure.
obviously, but
For
like
sure.
not
And
having that.
he liked his job. I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't, I mean, I'm sure he didn't have every, all great days. None of us do,
Right.
but he was a positive influence for sure. Um, and
So
it
you
was kind
made
of
the
cool because I saw him
decision.
at a conference not long ago and it's just neat to see him after all those years. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I
I
made
love
the
that.
decision in high school. I went into undergrad planning, as a pre-vet, and I started with animal science as my major, but I
Mhm.
quickly realized that I wasn't super into like the pure animal sciences, and so I
Right.
decided to switch to biology,
That's
which
what
was
I did.
yeah. What
Yeah.
prompted that? Did you like get into a class and you're like, because for
No.
me it was
So
beef science. I was like,
no, I did
I don't
biology and a
know.
minor in psychology. And basically, I realized how restricted like the biomedical science and the animal science was. And I didn't
Hmm.
want to do like all the meats classes and animal science
Yeah,
stuff. But
yeah,
biology actually, it had all the core classes, but I had all this like extra class that I could do whatever the heck I wanted with
yeah.
it. So I took like drama classes and psychology, and I got
Nice.
to like explore more stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's
I love the
awesome. Yeah,
bio
and
stuff.
that's what. Yeah, I was just it was way more up my alley as far as what I was interested in, and so it felt right to switch to biology, and then kind of just went all through undergrad, chugging away, planning to go to vet school, working on getting good grades, and still having plenty of fun. But
But you didn't like, I had someone ask if you just spent your time, in undergrad in the lab or doing stuff, with projects, research, microscopes. Like, was there anything then that really started to like
for
trigger you?
pathology in particular. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. So it got towards the end of my, like, it was probably my junior year when I started to get into the upper level
Hmm.
biology classes. And I was like, this is hard as hell, but really cool.
Yeah.
I just was super jazzed by it. So I got into like my histology course, molecular biology, and embryology were the three in particular that I spent so many all-nighters on studying for, but I loved it. Like I was working really hard to get good grades in those classes, but I was also really interested in it. I mean, of course, not all the time. I was like, okay, I'm tired of studying this,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, that's where I developed the interest in microscopy in particular. And so I was like, okay, hold up. So what do I do now? Because like
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this, but like vet school, I know that it's obviously sciencey, but it's
Right.
different. So I started looking into like, well, what do I do with this? So I shifted gears for a minute and I looked into medical technology, human medical technology.
Hmm.
I took a course that just basically was shadowing medical technologists, and I was like, this is cool, but there's something wasn't. I didn't feel it just didn't feel quite right. And so I just kept exploring. Actually, took a minute to think about going to med school. But then I was like, well, that's not really any, different, like as far as it's not like that I'm going to get more of that in med school. Like it's kind
Right.
of a parallel move. So I started just looking and I was like, hey, there's something called veterinary pathology. Like you
Yeah.
can specialize in veterinary pathology. And so I was really fortunate because I'm a researcher. Like I like Google the crap out of everything. And so I
Yes.
was like, planning and planning and planning, realized that vet path existed. And so I was like, okay, I'm down now to go to vet school. I'm back to my original plan.
Yeah.
But I had gone into vet school with the plan of being a pathologist. So that
So
was always
you,
my plan.
I love the fact that you considered other things and then you kind of talked to people who did them and spent time with
Yep.
them. Because
Yep.
I have a lot of people who will say, like, well, I think I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, have you gone and spent time, like I
Mm-hmm.
kind of did the maybe I want to go to med school thing. And then I went and
Mm-hmm.
spent some time with a surgeon and I was like,
Yep.
oh, people are
Yeah.
gross. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to
Same
do it.
here. I shadowed a couple of human
Yeah.
doctors and yeah, and I was on the med surge floor once and I was like, "Ooh, no, I don't like
Yeah.
this at all." So yeah, yeah, same.
So
Really
that's
important.
all, that's good because it reinforces, like it's okay to question, right, the
Yeah.
path, but like you're
Mm-hmm.
reinforcing along the way, okay, I still really, really like this. Like I'm drawn to this. So I
Yeah.
love that. So you applied to school, you're like, okay, this is the path now, this is the plan. Where did you apply? Did you get in the first time? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So yeah, then it was time to apply. I applied. So I'm from Tennessee and I wanted to stay close to home. And so I applied only to University of Tennessee. So I put all my eggs in that basket. And I really wanted in-state tuition. So I kind of was like, let's see if this works and deal with it if it doesn't. And I did get in the first time, thankfully. Um, so
Do
yeah,
you
so it worked
think
out.
Do you think the fact that because I'm sure you expressed an interest in pathology, and what I've found is, like people that are like, I want to be a chicken vet or I want to go into industry or, like
Hmm.
if you have a specific thing that maybe no one else applying is saying they are interested in, do you think that gave you a leg up at all? Or do you think that
It might have. It
affected?
might have. I honestly don't remember much of my interview aside from when they asked me about being the co president of the chemistry club, and there was like this one event we did, and they were really interested in that, and because it was like I don't know, it's not an interesting
That's
story, but
funny.
they focused on that. So I don't remember telling them when I was having my interviews specifically that I wanted to go into pathology. I'm guessing I did, but now in my brain now I may have been a little more, try to be a little more neutral just in case,
Right.
like I don't know. You can come up with all kinds of like,
Yeah.
how should
Should
I
have, would have, could
act?
have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember specifically having, like when you were waiting at the tables for your name to be called to be interviewed, one of the path professors who actually later on at UT became my mentor and now a friend of mine, she sat down at my table and she was like, I'm a pathologist. And I was, really? Like, let me like let me talk to you here. And so I went on and on with her about, this is what I want to do. And I think she was really surprised because it's not very
It's not.
typical. Yeah, yeah. So I was like, I went down and saw like necropsy giraffe in a trash
Yeah.
can and it was awesome, and she's like, okay, like this girl is different, but
Yeah.
that's good, I
I
guess.
think, I tell students all the time, even if you're not 100% sure, if there's maybe a specialty path you're interested in that's more
Yeah,
unique, or there's like a practice, type of practice you're interested in I
yeah.
100% would be like saying that during your interview or
Right.
putting that in your essay or, because I think it does set you apart a little bit. And
Well,
if
yeah,
they're
it's
hiring, looking for that, it helps you.
exactly. Exactly. And it shows that you've thought about what. I don't
Hmm.
think that it hurts you to not have an interest right away.
Right.
Lots of people go into vet school without knowing. Like I'm like unique in that regard. Like I shouldn't say unique. Some people have an interest, but it's I think it's just a little bit of a fine line because I think expressing that that's what you're interested in shows like I've thought this through. I
Hmm.
have an interest. I'm not just like I want to be a vet and I don't really even know,
Hmm.
like any kind of idea of what I might do. But also it's good to be open-minded and all
Hmm.
those things that they tell you, like just don't like pigeonhole yourself. But
No.
I don't think that it would hurt to ever say this is what I'm super interested in.
No, I think it's definitely an advantage. And
Yeah.
especially if you say, I've explored these career paths,
Yeah.
like I've actually put in like the work and the effort and the time. I think that can be
Exactly.
really, really beneficial. So
Yeah.
I love though
Agreed.
that you like fangirled over a veterinary
I did.
pathologist. That makes me
I
so
did.
happy.
She's so great. She's been so great. She helped me a lot in vet school to actually get into a residency. So she's wonderful.
Okay, so we're gonna get to the residency, but you're in veterinary school, 4-year program, or did you do any weird like 5-year PhD
Nope,
vet
just
school?
4 year.
Okay,
Yep.
just 4 year.
Yep. And I was in the middle of my class. I didn't graduate on top, didn't graduate on the bottom, just right smack dab in the middle.
What did you do during vet school specifically, either like networking or, just setting yourself up for that next step, which I'm assuming is an internship after you
I
graduate,
did.
but
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I did do an internship, and we can get to that, but not path residencies don't typically require an internship.
Okay.
But I
I
did
learned
do
something
one.
new.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did do one. Um but yeah, so when I was in vet school, there was a number of things I did. I mean, I had a little bit of a leg up's not the right word, but because I knew what I was planning to do,
Right.
I kind of started like
Your
really digging
focus.
into it early. Yeah.
Hmm.
One of the biggest things I think that helped, just sort of open, like expose me to opportunities. It's not necessarily that it, that it got me a residency, but it gave me more opportunities in the long run was just getting to know my professors. I mean, honestly, like I know they say that, but it's so true. I don't want anybody watching to think, well, I don't know any of my professors and I'm like a third year and, whatever, and I'm at a disadvantage. Just go talk to them. Like they're people, and most of them really do want to help, and they
Yes.
wouldn't be in academia if they didn't want to help you get to where you want to be. So I just started trying to form relationships with them from the beginning. It is hard though, because you're a student and they're a professor, and it's like, what do you do? Just like knock on their door and be like,
Right.
hi, hi. But yes, that's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
You
I
go
mean,
and you say
yeah.
hi and introduce
Yeah.
yourself, because we're all adults and they want to see your face and you want them to know who you are. And so that one, not just for the recommendation letter, although that is really important,
Hmm.
but so that when things come up that are valuable opportunities, they'll think of you. So,
Hmm.
for instance, that path professor that I keep talking about, I met her early on, obviously at the interview process, and she was great about getting me into summer projects that were path related,
Hmm.
and some other things that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do. It's not like I was like, I had this long list of things I had done that were path related by the end of vet school. It's just there were a couple of unique things that came out of that relationship. And I also had a person that really did know who I was at the end of vet school to write me a letter.
And
Um,
they
yeah.
wanted you to succeed. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I think when
Yeah,
you form those like real relationships and
yeah,
then they're looking out for you and they want you to succeed. And I
for
did the
sure.
same thing, like connected with the equine professor, and I ended up he would ask me to do studies with him, and I would draw blood and do statistics, and I got my name on papers, and like
Exactly.
I didn't even know those things existed, right, when I
Hmm.
started school, but it was all from connecting and saying like I want to learn and I want to, just be around you
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And I think that's great.
yeah.
Master Fowl said, "Middle sounds super smart. It is vet school, you know." I'm like, yeah, that's
Well, okay.
true.
I mean, I'll take the
Yeah,
compliment.
you,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with middle. I mean, I'm happy with middle.
no, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I
there's
think
nothing wrong with
everyone.
bottom either. Like it is vet school,
I was,
So
I was gonna say, I think everyone in vet school is super smart, no matter
yeah,
where they end up, and
yeah,
that
for
is true.
sure.
We're always hard on ourselves, though, no matter what. So,
Yeah,
okay, real quick, you are married to a fellow veterinarian. Did
yes,
that happen in vet school,
yeah.
or was okay?
Well, no, we didn't get married in vet school, but we were friends through vet
But
school,
you
and we got
like,
married.
okay,
Yeah, yeah, we met in vet school. Yeah,
that's
he's my jam.
exciting. I
We
love
have two
that kind of
kids
stuff.
now.
I know, and your like new baby is adorable, and I
Oh,
just love
thanks.
it so much. I can't wait to get into like what your life looks like right now and your work and
Hmm.
everything, because I think it's
Yeah,
really unique, and I think
yeah,
it's something that can work for a lot of people, especially in this profession since it is so many women. So,
yeah.
okay, but you're in school. What does your 4th year look like, or your clinicals? Like, is your clinicals going to academia to visit places or internship type places? Like, what are you doing your clinical year as a future pathologist?
Um, so fourth year, I was at UT, so our clinical year was inside of the school. We didn't like go, outsource to
Oh,
other
you
schools.
didn't. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No. So it was inside the school. Well, we did have opportunities for externships, but
Right.
it wasn't, we spent the majority of the time in school. Um, And I did a couple of externships. One I did actually, I briefly explored lab animal medicine also, because I just, I'm one of those people that's like, I know what I want to do, but I also just am gonna see what's
Right.
going on. I actually spent time with a veterinary pathologist inside of a lab animal setting. So it was all related to path at the end of the day. But I did that. I did that as an externship. What other externships did I do? Oh, I did a derm externship because well,
Microscope.
I am interested
Yeah.
in derm, but it was also at the same practice that my well, no, that was my sorry, that was my internship. Hold on, I'm getting that mixed up. So
No,
that
it's
was
okay.
later on. Yeah. Um, as far as like what I did to further myself in my fourth year, I set up a special rotation with our ClinPath group because at
Hmm.
UT at the time we didn't have an elective rotation in ClinPath.
Got
So
it.
let me back up for a second. So I started vet school with the plan to do anatomic pathology. So
Okay.
I
Wait, wait,
didn't know.
wait. There's different
Yeah.
types of pathology.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. I know.
Okay.
Sorry. So there's two types. There's two branches of pathology.
Okay.
There's anatomic pathology, and their main area is necropsy and histopath.
Okay.
So,
That
surgical
makes sense.
biopsy, evaluation of
Yes.
tissues. Um, Clinical pathologists do hematology, clinical chemistry, and fluid analysis and cytology. So it's all microscopic related, but it's different things you're looking at.
Okay.
So I went into vet school planning to do, and all through vet school with the idea that I would do anatomic pathology. So I would be doing necropsies and doing histopathology. And then when I got to my fourth year, I realized that ClinPath was a thing, and I was more drawn to that. I like both, but I like with clinical pathology, it's a little more like it's a little faster moving, and you're dealing with a lot more alive patients and a little
Yeah.
more one-on-one with practitioners. There's a little bit
Right.
more of a closer relationship with practitioners. So anyway, so that's my silly dog.
Mine was barking. It's okay. My mom's
Come
dog
here.
was barking.
She's naughty. Come here. You're okay. So that was what I invested my time in. And fourth year is learning more about ClinPath, and then I did a special rotation with the clinical pathologist to kind of get an idea of what it was, and know that that was actually the route I wanted to take.
But it wasn't like at A&M we had like small animal, large animal, mixed animal, and then alternative. Like there
Like
was different
tracks, we didn't
paths,
track.
tracks.
Mm-mm.
Okay, you didn't track. Okay, that's
Nope.
interesting.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So you're in fourth year and then you're looking to maybe do just a straight residency, which I didn't even know that existed, or an
Mm-hmm.
internship. Did
Mm-hmm.
you, I don't want to get too personal, but did you like apply for residencies and you didn't get them, or did you just say, I'm just going to go for the internship? What
Yeah.
happened?
So first of all, I'm an open book, so you don't have to worry about
Okay.
asking me these things.
I am
Um,
too, but I always want to like make sure.
yeah, no, I appreciate it, but no, I know that it's valuable to like be
No.
upfront with these kinds of things. So my fourth year, I had been like just trying to decide whether I wanted to go straight into residency or do an internship. I never really had a lot of interest in practicing in any way, including an internship. But there at the time, I was not quite ready to go straight into a residency. I did apply to one residency and actually was accepted, but I turned it down.
Okay.
Yeah, and I turned it down those were personal reasons at the time, but it was more of a location issue. So the residency was far away, and I didn't want to go that far. And so
From your from your fiance, husband, your person, right?
Yeah, my person.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, I don't think that I'm ready to go yet. Like, I know that I want to go into pathology, but I'm not quite ready to go. Like, I
Okay.
just didn't have things figured out, like life wise yet. So I so then I was like, okay, well now what do I do?
Yeah.
Because I didn't I kind of had always planned to go straight to residency.
Right.
Um, so I actually applied to an internship outside of the match because they were like looking for another intern, and I was like, okay, well I'll do this, and this seems right, and it was in Nashville where I'm from, and so it all worked out location wise, and it was I'm glad I did it, and I can say that now.
Yeah.
At the
I was
time, I
gonna
was
say,
like, this is really hard.
this is so hard. Yeah.
Um,
So
and
it
it
was
is
private
hard, but
practice, right?
yes.
Or okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a private practice small animal internship. But yeah, so that's the reason that I went ahead and went into the internship. And ultimately I'm glad I did that because I have some, I at least have that year of clinical
Hmm.
experience. And it's helped me a lot be able to understand like where the clinician's coming from and have better, like more effective conversations in that way.
Is that why, like, I love it when they say great sample. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I submitted a great sample. Like, look at
Yeah.
this. Can
Yeah.
you read
I
this?
I always try to put that in there. I
Yeah.
always feel bad if I like don't say it's a great sample because it's like it's not because you did something wrong. It's just because cytology sometimes doesn't give you a great sample. But yeah, anytime it is a great sample, I'm like, yes, you get your credit.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard sometimes to get a great
It is
sample.
hard.
So, it's
It is.
nice when you get that feedback. So,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
So your internship year is going on, and then did you apply for a residency like through the match? Is that how you, or is it just like you apply to academia places, right?
Yeah.
No private practice.
So no, so path residencies are not through the match. So
Okay.
that's another difference. And so they are all like individually applied to.
Okay.
And it's I think there's some talk now in the path world about trying to make it a little more streamlined because it is a little bit all over the place. The applications tend to come out in the fall
Okay.
to early winter. And a lot of them will open, but they'll all open individually. And there are mostly academic residencies, but there are residencies. I believe there are some residency options that are not academic, but I'm not super familiar with them, so I don't want to misspeak. But yeah, so I looked at residencies. I looked at a few different ones. The one that I wanted to go to though was the University of Illinois, and that was because I had experience visiting them the year before I had gone
Hmm.
to my internship, and I visited them, and I really liked the group, and I really dug that residency. And at the time when I was finishing my internship, I was then ready to
Dive
go
in.
into resident. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to go there, and so I actually connected with the residency, like main residency person, um, and she remembered me from the year before, and like it just was a good match, and so that's how I ended up getting that residency that
Are
year.
they 3 years? Is that how long residencies are? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So the residency portion is 3 years, and then most path residencies also require you to get an advanced degree in combination with the residency. So you either have to
Okay.
get an MS or a PhD.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, yeah. But the MS, so I picked the MS option, and it was still confined into that 3 years. If you decide to do a PhD, it takes a lot. It can often take a
Yeah.
lot longer, not always, but I was like, no, don't want to do a PhD.
Yeah.
Wasn't for
Not
me.
happening.
No.
Okay. So you went to an academic institution for your residency,
Yep.
3 years. Did you work with students, or was this just
Mhm.
like you're doing research and learning? Like, what is it? I have no clue what a path residency would look like.
Yeah, so the clinical pathology residency and the anatomic pathology residency will look different. So mine again was the clinical pathology residency, and it was 3 years. And so my first year, so yes, I did work a lot with students. My program was super teaching heavy, so they had the residents doing a lot of teaching, both for students and for like uh, other like residents, like we would hold rounds and stuff and for the whole school, so it was
Oh,
really teaching
cool.
heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So all 3 of my years I was involved in a lot of teaching. First and second year I did like under well, I guess I did everybody. So I taught, I helped teach the underclassmen. Is that, I don't even know if that's how you would say it.
Yeah.
First and second
Yeah.
year,
Like the
first and
undergrad.
second year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not, well, not undergrads, but the first and second year vet students. I would
Oh,
help
vet
teach
students.
their,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd help teach their like urinalysis labs and hematology labs. And then I would also teach the fourth year cytology rotation. And let me tell you what, I was teaching that early as a resident, like in my first year, and I was like, I just finished
Yeah.
school and now I'm teaching people that are just like a little bit
Yeah,
farther
above you.
behind me. Like that felt super weird. So I was like,
I'm
I'm
sure you
gonna,
did. I'm sure you did great.
well, I made
Like,
sure that I did because I was like, I'm gonna know what I'm talking about because I'm
yeah.
not gonna get caught like, in this. I had imposter syndrome for sure.
Well, my trick is when I have like students that come, in shadow or extern, and they ask me a question and I don't know. I'm like, that's a really great question. I want you to research it tonight, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. And I like go home and I'm like looking through the book.
Yeah. Yeah. I finally got to the point though that because I did that a lot earlier on and I was like, I'm just gonna tell them I don't know and just see what happens. And
Yeah,
and everything was fine. I'm like, I don't
yeah,
know. We'll find it. We'll look it up together. You
we'll
go look,
figure
I'll
it
go
out.
look. Yeah. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun being able to teach and it really started to spark like my whole love for doing this.
I was about to say, I bet that is one of the reasons why you're so effective online with everything you're doing, and so great at reaching people, because that probably laid a really good foundation. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had 3 years there, and then did you, when you left there, because I know you work from home now,
Hmm.
did you go into like a practice? Did you go home and set up a microscope? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, oh, yeah.
another, sorry, real quick
No, you're
before
good.
we go to that. How much do you get paid as a path resident?
Oh, as a PATH resident, I'm gonna take a sip of my beer for that
No,
question.
yeah, especially with that question. You always have to,
If I remember correctly, I think I made about 35-ish. I
yeah,
believe it was in the 30s,
yeah.
which I know is hard
It's
for,
just painful.
I
Yeah, it's
know,
painful.
I know.
But
But see, for me, I didn't have kids yet. I came right out of my internship, so I was already, I was living like a student all
yeah,
through there. Um, and I really wanted to do this, so I was like, that's fine. And I lived in a
100%.
small, house and didn't eat out a lot, and I lived off that, and I deferred my loans, and that was hard, especially when
Yeah.
that nice like $35,000 chunk got like the minute I was done with my residency, it like went up 30,000 from the compounded interest. That was super cool.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, but okay, there's like that handoff between doing what you're gonna love, right?
Yeah.
And then like weighing, and you did some smart things, like you did in-state for vet
Hmm.
school. Like I think that can make a big difference. And so,
Yeah.
as long as you, that's why I ask these questions, because I think you got to go into it like eyes wide open, right? Like if
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
this,
Well, and so the thing, and just while we're on this topic, because I know that everybody's situation is not the same. And so I don't want to imply that it's possible for everybody because I know that depending on where you're at in your life and when you do these things, and just, people have different situations, medical bills, and all those things.
right,
For me, I was in a lucky situation where I had the vet school debt. I had the debt that followed me all through my residency. I lived off my residency salary, but I still had all my vet school debt. And when I was done, I just didn't, I didn't increase like my spending hardly at all. And I got married. And so again, not a situation that everybody's in, but I
right.
had the luxury of being married. My husband's also a vet. We decided that we would live only off of his salary,
Yeah.
and I've paid off
You
my
just paid.
my
Yeah.
my debt since then. So like it took us 3 years to pay off, but we lived, which I know is a crazy quick. It is crazy quick, but
Right.
we just lived happily on a budget.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you both, it's kind of nice that he's in the industry and you kind of know his expectations salary wise. So then you can,
Yeah.
look ahead and say, this is the plan. And in our marriage, we definitely have had times where, like we got married in vet school and my husband, helped a lot. And then my internship, I got paid, nothing, and he helped a
Hmm.
lot. And then as I've started making more, he's had more opportunities to maybe like take less, leave corporate America. And
Yeah.
now so I think,
It all shifts. Yeah.
yes, it shifts, and it's nice to hear the same sort of like supportive, story. I think it makes a big difference, and it's our happiness as veterinarians when you have that support,
Yeah.
and you can
He
kind of,
was he was nervous at first though. I mean, his parents are come from a farming family, and so it's not like they're rich, but they saved to help him pay for vet school. So he didn't have vet school debt, which is
right,
another amazing thing.
Huge thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they always lived with the mentality that debt, like they don't ever want to, be in debt
Have
or get in debt or carry debt longer than necessary.
right.
So, when we got married, I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I have a lot of debt, which
How much
you,
do you love me?
right, right. Which I had, and I know that there's people watching that had more than me, but they're probably wondering how much I had. Just again, transparent. I don't mind being transparent. I had
Yeah.
about 265,000. So I know that that's minuscule now compared to what some people have, but it's still a big amount of money.
Yeah. No,
Um,
that's a big number. I think that's
yeah,
still like a pretty big number even
it is.
then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, so he was like, oh, God, but once we, got married and really sat down and said, like, let's just get after this and
Yeah.
let's just do it like as fast as we can. So yeah, he
And
got
that
on
helps.
board and it
And
worked out.
the no kids yet helps too. I mean,
Yeah.
the double income no kids thing is no joke. It definitely makes a big
No.
difference. So,
Yeah. I mean, daycare is
okay. Well,
expensive.
I think that's always good info. That's why I like to make
Hmm.
sure that, people are aware of that side of it too.
Yeah.
So you got done with your residency and you're applying for your first like official job.
Hmm.
Where is
Where
this?
did I
What are
go?
you looking at? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was not sure exactly where I wanted to go. I loved teaching, but I didn't really have a super strong desire to stay in academics. It's not that I
Mhm.
didn't want to. I don't know. So I was like, I don't know. I didn't really want to do research, which
Mhm.
not every academic position is a research, has research involved in it, but it's just a little bit, I don't know, it's just a little tricky to find those positions. So I was like, what else can I do? And so I talked to my mentor, my residency mentor, and kind of brainstormed with her and decided that I would apply to work for Antec. So uh, they did not have a so again, location played a big role for me
Right.
in this. So like I really wanted to be close to Tennessee. So somewhere in the southeast where my family was and where Will, my husband's family lives. And it was tough. It was actually I was like, I don't know that this is gonna happen because the path jobs, tend to be
They're
in
small. Yeah.
specific locations. Yeah. Usually in labs that are in specific locations. So there wasn't a lab in Tennessee that needed a pathologist. And so, anyway, long story short, I ended up being super lucky where they worked with me to set me up inside of a Blue Pearl, which was where my husband was working at the time as an emergency veterinarian to do path for that specialty practice, but also be mailed samples every day from, you know,
From Antec.
everywhere. Like, yeah, I did a lot of like this, like I get a box every day, or I got a box every day and went through those cases.
So when you leave your residency, is it your options are like academia, right? Like, or corporate large lab or work for yourself? Is that kind of the three?
Those are the big three. Yeah, those are the big three.
Okay.
There are also some, like smaller areas that you can go into, like, medical schools, or like, what am I trying to say? Like you could go work in toxicology, so pharmaceuticals, those types of places. I'm not familiar with those because I didn't go
Right.
that route. But yeah, the big three would be academics and diagnostic labs like Antech, IDEX, and then there's some smaller ones. And now there's some more options, which I can get into because I'm doing something different now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like what you're doing now. And then someone asked about Scopio on here. So we'll talk
Hmm.
about that too. So you worked for Blue Pearl for how long? Or I guess like
Antech,
Antec,
yeah,
Blue Pearl. Yeah. How long do you work
for
in that
4 years.
position?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
Liked
did a
it?
lot. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked
Okay.
it a lot. I did a lot of cytology. So
Yeah,
I
I
learned a
bet.
ton in those 4 years. I can't believe it's been 4 years. But yeah, so right after I finished my residency, I got set up in this position. I had a little office inside of the Blue Pearl, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of friends at the practice. There was a lot of specialty cases that I would get from inside the practice. But then I got a lot of cool cases out in the, GP world,
Mhm.
and I did about probably roughly around 60 cases a day. So it was a high volume.
That's a lot.
But you get, yeah, but you get more efficient. As
So
time goes
what were
on, like
your
anything else.
hours then? Like how many days a week did you work and what were your hours?
I started at 5 days a week, and then And then I was actually, what I did is I condensed the cases that I worked in 5 days a week to 4 days a week. So I didn't work
Okay.
less. I just worked less days, but
Mhm.
longer hours.
Hours.
And I didn't have set hours. So that was one of the things that I loved then and that I love now about my
Right.
job is that I don't have I don't clock in anywhere.
Right.
Um, it is, good to get in early to like get your cases done so that you can go home early and so that people aren't waiting for results. It's not like I would, come in at noon or
Right.
anything, but if I had to go drop my kids off like earlier or later or whatever, there's flexibility with that. So I love that. But roughly I would work on a short, like if I was like busting it and I was really getting through and I had some easy cases and, just really getting through quickly, most of those days I could get done in like 6 hours or so.
Okay.
But I would say it averaged out to an 8 hour day, 8 to sometimes 10 hour days when it was
Really busy. Yeah.
really, yeah, when it was really long.
When did your first kid come into the picture? When was that? When you were there or?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
very, very shortly after I started working, I got pregnant. Because we decided to do this like all at one time. So
Right.
I finished my residency, got married like a month later, took my board exam, which is a huge milestone, my pathology board exam, which was just a beast. Got board certified, and then we moved to Kentucky from Illinois, bought a house, and then 6 months later, I was pregnant, and then so our first son was born. Yeah, 9 months later.
You were
Yeah,
like making up for all that time.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah. I wasn't wasting any time, that's for sure. But yeah, he was born about probably a little over a year into me working there.
did you feel like your job and your situation was a good setup for like being a parent and a veterinarian? Because a lot of
Yeah.
people have a really hard time, with that side of things. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the things that I think I'm most grateful for the type of work I do. It just tends to be it just very flexible for being a parent. So when I was, working with Antec and my kid was sick, I could work at home with him because I had a microscope at home
mhm.
that they provided me. But those days were not easy. I
Yeah,
mean,
I was gonna say,
like I was so grateful to be able to do that because I think, and like I always tell Will, like, gosh, what do I just feel so bad for parents which is most parents who have to like leave work to go pick up their
yeah,
kid if they're sick or whatever, especially if there's, on a roll with that. Um, Whereas I could just pick mine up and go home and finish working at home. Now that was wonderful to be able to do, and that took that part of the stress off. But
but yeah, I was gonna
reading
say,
reports, like I have some dictated reports that I've screen captured because it's like, Anderson, stop doing it. It's like the
yeah,
mast cell tumor is, blah, blah. Anderson, stop, 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 and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, delete, delete,
yeah.
delete, so
I
yeah.
I more like envision my child like going up and me coming back and like all the slides are like everywhere or moved around and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Like, what
Luckily,
did you touch?
I put the fear of God in him pretty early
Yeah,
with that. I'm like, if you ever touch these slides,
yeah.
mm-mm,
No.
no, do not touch these slides. Yeah, so he's good about that, but he knows how to operate a microscope, to some extent at 3 years old
Yeah.
now. So he definitely hung around on it some.
That is very interesting, and I agree. It's kind of a weird dynamic because a lot of times now with telemedicine and with just how available we can be with all the
Hmm.
electronics things, I think a lot of people are still expected to do a lot at home, but it is
Yeah,
really hard when you're trying to actually take care of your family or somebody's
yeah.
sick or you yourself are sick. But then it's like, well, can you just like check this email or can you just,
Hmm.
like I always check blood work and x-rays and I'm like, I don't have to do this on my day off, but I feel like I should, but I don't,
Yeah, it's hard to
it,
create that boundary because it's
it
like, when
is.
am I when am I at work at home and when am I off work at home? Yeah.
Yeah.
I dealt with that a lot because especially back in March, I was lucky because I got to be home with my son.
Mhm.
I was pregnant at the time too, so I was home with my son and pregnant with my daughter, just working at home, and I had that option to do that and didn't have to pay like extra for a nanny or whatever. And anyway, I it was great to be able to do that, but it was rough. It was hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard on everyone, no matter what your
Yeah,
circumstances, for sure.
he watched a lot of Bubble Guppies.
Yeah.
Let's just be real.
Okay, so tell me where you are now, what you're doing, and like how you got to that from, Blue
Before,
Pearl, yeah, and
yeah,
Antec
yeah.
situation.
So this is another one. I guess every 4 years or so, we just decide
Yeah.
to change everything up.
Change it up. Why
Oh
not?
my gosh.
Yeah.
So about, what has it been now? Several months ago, we were both on leave. So my husband was taking a paternity leave also, which was wonderful, like having him home. But anyway, we had just had one too many times where his mom, my mother-in-law, had come up and visited and cried when she left, and we just were like, we'd always talked about, I've got to get this mascara from the top of my eye, it's bothering me.
No, you're good.
um, uh, we had just, his parents live here where we are now in Tennessee, but we were in Kentucky at the time, so we were living there. It's not super far, but it was just like, I don't know, it was just like a big thing. Like every time they wanted to come up, and every time my parents wanted to come up, like it just was a thing, And we had always talked about maybe moving home to Tennessee, but like our jobs were really good and we just didn't want to
Mhm.
rock the boat. And we never really had seriously thought about it anytime soon, but we legit, we like, one night we're like, do you want to just think about it a little bit more, and like maybe we
Yeah.
can just think. And we were like, oh, this is just going to be hard to like logistically, what if you have to go, because he was working in an ER practice where he had worked his way up and he was in a senior position, and so he had daytime
Great.
emergency
Yeah, I was
hours.
gonna say good schedule and yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And we're like, what if you have to go back to working overnights and all this stuff if we, go anyway. So we were like, let's just, it's worth it. Like even if that happens, like let's just, like it's just worth it to be closer to home. Yeah. So we just did it all very quickly, and decided to move back. And it wasn't, I ended up leaving my position with Antec. It was bittersweet because it's well, I loved working with them, but I did leave my position with them. And basically now so what I do now is I contract with Scopio, which I have just recently started doing that. So I haven't been with them very long, but I do contract work for them. So it's really cool because so it's all digital. And so there's no microscope
Right.
involved. And I thought that I would, really miss my microscope, and
I
I
was gonna
do.
say, yeah,
I do because
yeah,
it's my, like it's what I like, it's my tool, but it's really neat to be on the
yeah.
computer. Like I don't know, the I don't know, it's just really cool. Like when you see it, I got this huge Mac screen, and it's just this big field of cells, and you can zoom around, and I don't know,
That's very cool.
I
I was
really love
wondering
it.
how it worked on your end. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. And so I can just sort of pick up cases as I want to. People that submit, they'll pop up and I can grab a case and, you know, um, then go eat lunch or whatever. And the thing that I'm doing with most of my time right now is I decided that I really wanted to invest a lot of my time into teaching.
Right.
So I do a lot of stuff with my courses, and I'm actually launching my membership tomorrow. So everything on my cytology schoolhouse, like that's what I was like, I think I want to do that. Like I'm
Yeah.
really digging this right now. So I'm just gonna like put all my time into that and
And
just
lean
create
into
more.
it.
Yeah, because I just didn't have as much time as I wanted to when I was working full time to do that. Um, so I'm just putting my eggs in this basket for now and loving it. It's super
No,
fun.
the content you're putting out and the information is awesome. And I do
Thank
feel
you.
like it helps us so much as general practicing vets and just, the profession in general. The more information you have at the tip of your fingers and someone who's so like responsive to questions and all that. So, um, tell everyone, I mean, you have a Facebook group and you have a web page. You probably want to type the web page maybe in the comments.
Yeah, I can do that.
But where is the best place to, because I know like we're both on Instagram, but is
Yep.
Facebook the better, like where's the best place to reach out to you or to connect with you?
Yeah, so all of this started on Facebook. It started when I was in like working for Antec, and I was just like, I want to show like other veterinarians and vet techs and people interested in this cool cases. And because I'm kind
Right.
of lonely in my office, because I was going back to that, I love teaching, but I just didn't have that opportunity in that role as much as I wanted to. So I was like, I'm just going to do this virtually and see what happens, start this group. That was literally the only thought that went into that. And so I started that group, and the group is Veterinary Cytology Coffee House, and it's grown a lot.
It's
Um,
huge. It's
yeah,
huge.
it's really
Like,
huge.
and it's
Oh,
like all over the world. It's
I
not even like we have
know. I
people
love
on
it.
here from all over the world, and it's
I
so cool.
know. That's one of my favorite things about it is like everybody all over the world on there. But it's such a fun group because everybody's so like helpful, and that's just sort of what I've tried to emulate, like my idea for this group over time, just like a space where people are not uh it's judgment free. Like it's not somewhere that you're going to go and people are going to, because I watch that group like a hawk. And I honestly, I don't even have to do much, like, because people are just nice on there and
Yeah.
sharing in like the knowledge of cytology and the cool cases we talk about on there. So Facebook is sort of where a lot of stuff is happening as far as
Mhm.
conversations go. But I'm here on Instagram. I love my Instagram account. And now that I have more time to invest in like,
Yes.
putting stuff up here, that's kind of my early 2020 plan is to just be more, I want to do some Instagram lives. I've never done one. So now that I realize it's not that hard.
Yeah, it's not. The
Yeah.
only hard thing is they like stop you in an hour, like they cut you off. So you
Oh,
just have to
really?
like, yeah, you have to watch your time. They'll give you a little warning, but like
Oh, gosh.
at like 9, it'll just shut us down no matter what we're saying. And
Okay.
so
Okay. That's
that
why you're
the
like
first time
on task here.
the first time it happened, I was like, what? It just like shut down. So, um,
Oh, that's funny.
okay, so let
But the
on
the
this,
website though, I'll type that in there. That's where
yeah,
like
type that
the
in there.
where yeah, that's where my stuff is, my like topic led stuff is.
Yes, and the membership thing is going to be amazing and great, and everyone should definitely check that out. I didn't even realize it was tomorrow. I know you've been like sending emails
Yeah.
about it, and I've been keeping up with them, but I
Yeah.
don't know what date it is. So, um, so the Scopio thing, I know. So basically, what it is, just so people know, they give like us general practitioners, they would give me the software and everything to get the images at the office, and
Yes.
then they send the images out like electronically to their pathologist and they read them and you get a report back and it happens really quickly. So the
In
nice
an
thing is,
hour.
yeah, like you can, if you have somebody there with an animal with a mass and you're like, I don't know what this is, and
Mm-hmm.
the owners don't want to wait like 3 to 5 days to get back a report or whatever, like it's
Right.
really fast. And then the image quality, like you said, is great.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yes, and it's very, and I think also, could you ever, this was one question I had, if someone sent you images and you're like, if the pet's still there, can we maybe try this to get a better
Yes.
image, or can you stain it differently? Like, can you give feedback on the
Yeah.
images?
So
And
this is
okay,
one of the things I really like about them too, is that, and because I tend to be a chatty pathologist, and when I was with Antec, I was calling, practitioners and as much as I
right.
possibly could. They have a chat function. So if they get so
Oh,
as soon as yeah, it's really cool. So you have your scanner at your practice, you diff click your slides, you put them in the scanner, I don't know all the details about it yet, but like I think you pick your area. And then those scans go into the database. Pathologists are like literally sitting there waiting, and
mm-hmm.
they grab the case, and then they look at the case, and they either send you the report within an hour, or within that hour they say, hey, can you maybe the slide was upside down, can you rescan it, or there's just nothing on here, can you send in additional slides, and they don't charge you
Okay,
for
so they can give
additional slides.
feedback if
Hmm.
they need to.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do
in real time.
you do you like contract with them to do so many cases, or do you get paid per case, or how does it kind of work?
Yeah, I
Like,
get paid. I get paid per case. I
okay,
personally am contracting, so I get paid per case. And so yeah, it's just a contracting basis. I'm not technically their employee. I just pick up cases for
so
them,
you're your
which
own
is cool
like
too.
boss
That's right.
babe. Yeah.
That's right. I don't have a boss.
I love it. I love it. And again, the fact that our degree allows us to kind of just either really be so specific and have such a niche. Like I
Yes.
always tell people, find your niche. Even if you're in
Hmm.
general practice, like your niche could be, a certain breed that you really love and you
Hmm.
really like feed into, or a surgery that you really like, or,
Yeah.
I love ultrasound and I'm like the person who ultrasounds, and so
Yeah.
find your niche and
Yeah. Find
it
your area of
helps you be
interest.
happy.
Totally, because like that's with my courses and stuff. I have two courses on my website, and I've had a lot of people take them, and my goal is to like make them feel better about cytology, but it's not that I want you to be a pathologist. Like, you are a GP, like that's,
Right.
or I've had specialists even take it, and I've had technicians, I've had everybody take it. And it's like, you know, you don't necessarily have to be a pathologist at the end of this. That's not the goal. My residency was 3 years. Like, that's not going to happen. But it gives you a foundation to like start learning more. And if that's something that you are interested in offering clients, or you need preliminary information before, you know, you get your pathologist report back, you know, dig into it. Or if cytology is not your thing, then yeah, like surgery,
Yeah.
ultrasound, whatever,
There,
just pick your
there's
thing.
something. There's
Yeah.
something that will like make you happy in the profession. So,
Hmm.
okay, we have 5 minutes. So I want to know like the obviously I feel like you would say yes, I would do it again all over if I had the chance. What is the best part and what is like the worst part of your career path?
The best part and the worst part.
Or the biggest challenge? Like
Yeah.
what, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. The best part is that I love what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I every time I look at a case, even if it's one that is not that exciting, like I just feel like, I don't know, this is so lame, but I feel like I'm like opening a little package every time I look at a case. It's like a little mystery to be cracked.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that I really loved about, you know, what interested me in going this route, because it just feels like a mystery. And so, one of the best things has been just being able to do something I'm super interested in and that I am like really into, and just having a lot of fun and meeting a lot of cool people doing it. And now what I'm doing now is like so cool to be able to, I mean, this is neat, you know, like
Yeah.
virtual and connecting with
Yeah.
people on the internet. Like, I love it.
Yeah. You're
The
at
most
like the
challenge,
forefront of the
yeah,
telemedicine stuff.
oh,
And I
it's
love that.
neat. Yeah, and you don't even
Yeah.
really need to. I'm like, I just want to hang out with people that
I
want to hear about cytology.
don't want to talk
Um,
about cells.
yeah, the most challenging, I mean, it's a long road. I mean, I did a
Mhm.
lot of school. Like, I did vet school and then internship and then a 3-year residency, and had to pass a really hard board exam that literally took me 3 months to study for. I did nothing but study for 3 months. So it's, you know, it's not easy.
But it was worth it.
Totally. It was totally worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
And
wanted to
I,
mention too about Scopio. If I know that we just went off this, but go on my website and look at my. I just released this earlier this week. It's my digital case of the month. If you go to the resources tab, digital case of the month, I Scopio, like, I'm paired up with them, and they scanned in some of my slides for me, and so I have like a mystery slide on there. Yeah, and if you click on it, you get to see like the scanned slide. It's like what we see. It's really
yeah,
cool.
I actually watched a webinar that they put on, and
Oh
I
yeah,
was like
it's
hearing about
cool.
it. Like I think you did, or a live that you did, or you did something that they
Yeah,
did.
they had a webinar, yeah, that I was talking
Yes.
about people that I
Yeah,
see.
and I
Yeah.
was I was like, ooh, the quality of this is really good. So
Yeah, it is good.
I was definitely wanting to learn more.
Hmm.
So in general, you networked early on, you explored different career paths, but you kind of kept coming back to path.
Yes.
You went into vet school and you didn't do anything like crazy different, except that you kept like connecting and you kind of got in on some projects because of your connections and your
Hmm.
interests. Like you voiced what you were interested
Hmm.
in. I think that's really, really important as a student.
Yeah, and I was myself. Like, I just didn't pretend to be. You know, of course you're gonna be nervous, but like in interviews, I remember my residency interview. I just was myself. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, this is who I am, and they want to know that they can hang out with you for 3 years. So
Yes.
that's what you got to do.
And drink a beer, right? Like
That's
that's
right. Like, yeah. I mean, I didn't drink a beer during my interview. This interview is
I feel
different.
like I've learned so much. Like I didn't even really realize there's like clin path and
Yeah.
anatomical path, and I didn't know you didn't have to do an internship. Like you can just
Yep.
go into residency. Like all this is just very eye opening for me. So
Good.
I appreciate you coming on here. I have been talking to Ashley Bourgeois, the derm vet,
Yeah.
and we are like the three of us are gonna hang. We're gonna have a little like mom wine Zoom thing
I
one
love it.
night, and
Yeah, I just did a podcast with her and we were just talking about that. I was like, get us together, please, because
yes,
I have, you know, I sit in my house all day, which I'm
yeah.
an introvert. I'm fine with it, but even introverts kind of
Which
need
by the
to.
way, I'm obsessed with your house because you finally have the farm life you wanted
Oh,
and
I love
your
it.
donkey and your beautiful kitchen, and I'm really happy
Yeah,
for you
well,
guys.
I'm excited for what's coming for you too. I've seen the
Yes,
progress. I know it's
yes.
just like the tip of, you know, it's just happening, but it'll be here before you know it.
No, no, I like have everything already picked out. I'm like, can you just build
I
it so
love
I
it.
can like so
Put my couch in
but
there. Yeah.
Yeah. But someone want to know what vet schools we went to, and I went to Texas A&M,
Yep.
and
And I went to University of Tennessee.
my only advice I would give you is to spend time with the vets, make sure you go into it with your eyes wide open, but if you truly truly want to do it and love it, then do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just find a way. You
Yeah,
can make it
I
happen.
think
It really
there's
is.
a
There's a lot of avenues you can go into. I had no
yeah.
idea.
Yeah. And I will save this, and I'm going to try to find a way to maybe put a link on your Facebook page because a lot of people wanted to watch it, and
Yeah.
some didn't have Instagram, which is totally understandable. So I'm going to try to
Yeah.
save this and people can catch it. But I just appreciate you. Thank you for coming on here and
Thanks for
being
inviting
an open
me.
book. Yeah,
My
it
my
was
first
really,
Instagram live, and I feel like I
yes.
already knew you before now, and now I actually get to talk to you. So
Yeah, you did so well. And next time the beer will be in person. Like that is my
yes,
hope.
yes,
So
it's
it was,
coming. It's the
yeah.
end is near. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
good. Well, good. Well, thank you for having me.
All
Thanks, guys,
right.
for watching, and anybody
Yeah,
can reach
thanks,
out to
y'all.
me if you've got more questions.
Yes, reach out. She's great. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.